Yes, yes. Welcome in. It's Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. Watch us on YouTube, 101 ESPN channel. And communicate with the program via Air Comfort Service. Text line 314-399-9646. Timothy Michael McKernan, Jackson Bennett Burkett. Jackson, I'll be candid with you. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect this past weekend.
It's a surprising weekend for the Redbirds.
I felt the momentum going into the Chicago series. If you would have said you've got to guess what the result will be, Cardinals sweep, Cardinals win 3 of 4, they split, Cubs sweep, Cubs win 3 of 4, I think I probably would have put action on Cardinals winning 3 of 4. I think that's probably where I would have allocated my dollars.
Going into Thursday.
Correct. Okay. And then, alas, they were fortunate to get the game that they got.
Yeah, that was, they should not have won that game. Now, in fairness, Friday, a lot of line drive-outs, a lot of hard hit balls out. But Saturday, they did not earn that win by any means. But you take it. Boy, howdy.
So the Cardinals now 3 games behind a wild card spot. And we had a number of people texting in a TMA today saying that if the Cardinals are going to get in the postseason, it's going to be via the National League Central. Got to chase down the Brewers, and you got 6 left with the Brewers.
Yeah, when you look at the landscape, teams are getting hot other places.
If that's the case, the Cardinals are plus 600 to win the Central, so you're getting 6-1 on your money. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to participate. Your mom's boyfriend's in there. Dan Jansen's in there. He says, I'm counting on Jackson to break down the reasons the stock market's crashing. Would you like to...
The reason the stock market's crashing, unrest.
There you go, Dan Jansen. Do you have any other questions?
Is it unrest? I don't know.
A win today is needed. That's from the Beagle Man. 4:15 start today. Cardinals and Mets. It's a makeup game. Sean Manaea, and he's left-handed.
Yeah, it's going to be a big problem.
We'll be going for the Mets. For the 4:15 start, as Andre Palante goes for the Cardinals. 4:15 start, 94 degrees temperature, 100-degree heat index. If there was real attendance numbers given out, Jackson would take 15,000 or over, and I'm all over the under, but we can't get that information because they'll announce the paid attendance.
Right, and it probably will be a little less.
No chance there's 15,000 people in the ballpark at 4:15. No chance.
At 4:15?
That's what you get.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Fine, 5 o'clock.
Probably the same, maybe 5:30. But by that time, we're in the 4th or 5th.
People go, hey, it's the 3rd inning. You want to drive downtown?
Well, I have to think that the reason you have tickets to this game is because you had these tickets back in May. And much like Doug Vaughn on TMA today realized that he had tickets essentially for today's game.
So a lot of people have forgotten that they had tickets.
Yeah, and they might say, I can get off work a little bit early and I'll head down to the ballpark. I mean, I already paid for these tickets. I'll go check it out. So I'm maybe that, but I mean, you lay it out. It's going to be really hot, and the game's starting at 4:15. So the likelihood of a full house or even a quarter of a full house is unlikely.
Ron S., I apologize, says not a chance. I'm with you, Ron S., but I can't get action with Jackson.
Well, because we can't get a real number.
Yeah, is there any way to get that number?
Probably if you talk to people at Busch Stadium with tickets scanned.
I can get some inside word, and then we can do a bet. I'll give you 2-1 on your money, too.
If we can find out the data, I will. But I don't want to bet that because I don't think I'll be right. I'm being optimistic.
Why are you taking it?
I'm being optimistic.
So you're holding rights again.
Well, I mean, I'm holding rights for a quarter full ballpark. It's not like I'm saying there's going to be 40,000 strong.
This is part weather play, part random game.
Yeah, the randomness and the start time is going to be a huge hindrance, but the temperature doesn't help anything.
Mets stopping in St. Louis, then flying out to Denver.
I'm sure they're thrilled.
Yeah, the Mets are mounting a Sunday charge.
Yeah. You like the under in this game? You talking about getaway day? Cardinals sticking around.
Let me see what it is.
Dylan Carlson back in town.
Here's my reason. Yeah, then you got Dylan Carlson fresh off his home run on Friday night with the Rays in Houston. 8.5.
8.5?
I know. And you got some shadows.
Shadows, but it's going to be hot. Ball will be flying. Manaea, left-handed. Cardinals.
Manaea is a wide delta starter. He's coming off a great 7-inning start against the Twins, but he can go out there and get lit up. Yes, I know he's left-handed.
Is he a member of the Southside Seamen?
He is not a member of the Southside Seamen.
Got it. Yeah, lefty. I don't know. The Cardinals are weird. Some games they just rip lefties, and some games, way more often than not, they do terrible against lefties.
Doggy season ticket holder says agreed. No way there's 15,000. Random game, random time, 100 degrees. Nope.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Doggy season ticket holder.
A strong commenter, but,
Wow, sounds like you're down. What are you down on Dan Jansen and doggy season ticket holder now?
they're all down on me. So, sometimes I like to return the favor. I can give it back.
Even scalpers don't bother to show up anymore. That's from your mom's boyfriend.
So hot outside, dude. Like, the last place I'd honestly want to be is in, like, the
And yet
sun.
you were on a golf course yesterday when it was hot outside.
Yeah, but that's because I have a pursuit of greatness, pursuit of excellence.
Where'd you shoot?
83 Gateway National Golf Links.
Must have been some double bogeys out there. I'd like to have those back.
Yeah, you better believe it. I was donating the balls on the front. Donating balls on the
You
front.
were hitting balls into the crap?
Yeah, on the front. Front was bad. Well, the first half of the front was bad. Turned it around. God, I said to myself, hey, swing the club. What are you doing? Thinking too much.
That was your swing thought, is swing the club.
That's right. Swing the
But
club.
Jay Delsing is listening to this and is jotting down notes.
He's probably like, yeah, clear out the mechanical swing thoughts and just think to yourself,
Swing the club.
think about the target, not about the process.
All right.
The process is going to happen whether you like it or not.
They should be giving away tickets to this game at Circle K. That's from Johnny Scores.
Might have to. If they start giving away tickets, I really like my chances of going over.
Your thoughts are welcome on the topics. 314-399-9646. You're also welcome to participate in the YouTube chat with Doggy Season ticket holder Tiny Peepee and John Scores and DJ Patty Cakes, who's talking about John Quincy Adams.
Ooh.
7th president?
John Adams being the 2nd.
Correct.
I think that's right. Van Buren was the 8th.
Okay, so let's see what I got here. Then that means he was the 6th president.
Okay.
Let's try it. George Washington.
Yeah. We're green.
John Adams.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
James Madison.
Sounds right.
James Monroe.
Okay.
John Quincy Adams. Andrew Jackson. Martin Van Buren.
All right.
How'd I do? Is that correct?
I think you
you went
nailed
to
it.
Ladue.
I think you nailed it.
Okay.
I'm really good at state capitals, presidents in order. Not the best at.
Okay.
But state capitals, you give me a state, I'll tell you the capital.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can go 50-50.
South Dakota.
Bismarck.
North Dakota.
No, I'm sorry. Pierre, South Dakota. Bismarck, North Dakota.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we went
1
0
for
for
2.
1 right out of the
Well,
gate.
yeah, but we're back. Quickly rectified. Bismarck, North Dakota. Pierre, South Dakota.
Leave a mic drop. Chairman Stephen Wildwood leaves them. You can leave one too with the 101 ESPN app. Jackson's got what today? The Little Piddles weekend wrap up?
Yeah, taking a little look at the weekend that was and then forecasting the week that might be.
Oh, wow. All right. So that's what we got coming
promo
up
there
here.
for you.
Yeah, it was so vague and yet wonderful all at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Balloon Party, and it is on 101 ESPN and the wonderful people on the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. Welcome back. Balloon Party 101 ESPN, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, Timothy Michael McKernan, Jackson Bennett Burkett. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Little Piddles, and it's his weekend wrap-up. Let's go. Don't have time for the screwing around today, brother. Let's go. Lost 3 of 4 to the Cubs. Got to get it right. What do you got? Let's go. I don't have time.
Just give me a moment here. All right. Cardinals end this weekend hustling back to St. Louis after dropping 3 of 4 to the Cubs. And what we thought to be an encouraging performance Thursday yielded very little for the rest of the weekend. With exactly 50 games left on the campaign, what are the top issues with the Cardinals right now that need to be rectified in order to make a push? And how likely do you think it is for enough of these issues to be changed enough so they could either chase down the Brewers or make it the wild card?
The rotation's been bad.
Ever since basically July 1st. Certainly since the All-Star break.
11th in ERA in the National League since July 1st and 22nd overall. That was going into last night's game against the Cubs. Those statistics courtesy of Bernie Miklasz' column on scoopswithdannymac.com. And I guess the starter who's been the best is starting today, and that's Palante.
Yep.
But that isn't necessarily good.
He's been the best, but the best of the kind of one of the worst rotations in baseball at the moment.
McGreevy for doing one-offs.
Yeah, shout out Mike McGreevy.
So this is a concern not only because of that performance, which is a decent sample size at this point, but also the Cardinals only have 3 games left with a team that is below 500. Is that correct? Is that the math?
I believe that is the case, yeah. And 22 consecutive games with teams that are in wild card spots or division leaders.
So this is it. And while 3 games out, if it were just the Cardinals and Brewers in the National League Central, you go, okay. But the issue with the wild card, they're 3 games out of the wild card. They're 5.5 back of the Brewers on the National League Central side of things. With the wild card, you have, I don't know where you go to draw the line on who's in it and who's not. Like, do you count the Cubs? They're 6 or 6.5 back.
Yeah.
Do you count the Cubs as in it? I doubt many Cubs fans are really, really, really deep down thinking that they're in it. I mean, of course, mathematically they are. Point being, there are a bunch of teams in the mix for these 3 playoff spots. Mm-hmm. And while today is a random 4-15 game to make up a rainout against the Mets, it matters because the Mets are one of those teams that you're chasing. Mm-hmm. And even though the Braves roster is depleted with injuries, the Braves have been playing quite well.
Holding serve.
Mike Schilt and the San Diego Padres. And they certainly dealt for bullpen help to position themselves for October if they get in. They're playing well. The Diamondbacks. So, hey.
Giants are sneaking up, too, right behind the Cardinals, too. They've been 8-2 over the last
That's
10.
what I'm saying. It's a different thing if it's a 2-team race and you're 3 games back. When it's if you count, I don't know, 6.5 games.
I'll count that.
Being pretty liberal, then everybody but the Nationals, Marlins, and Rockies are in it. But if that's the case, that means the Cardinals are fighting 9 teams for 3 spots.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how close the National League especially is.
And they're 3 games back of the Diamondbacks, who are 60-52. So...
yeah, stretches like this weekend cannot happen for the rest of the year.
I am really surprised by it.
Yeah.
Truly surprised by it. And as we said, listen, I guess you could say, well, they should have won Thursday's game. They shouldn't have won Saturday's game. So in the end, it all kind of balanced out. But I just did not see this coming. I really thought that they were, here we go. Here's the momentum. The Cubs are going the opposite direction. So this one really takes me aback.
Especially with how the offense was looking. Especially even in Thursday's game, the offense was looking better. But this weekend was, your only 2 runs last night came on a Mason Wynn home run. You can't be banking on that. So the pitching staff has obviously had their struggles. But when you're only scoring 2-3 runs, it's going to be tough to win baseball games, especially with the competition they got coming up.
Cardinals got a grand total of 13 runs in Chicago this past week.
It's not going to cut it. You cannot, that's not sustainable. And then you look at their numbers against lefties, and it's just been dreadful. And that's right there on Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie looked like he was turning it around going into, even after Thursday. not the case, it seemed like, after that. I mean, some bad at-bats over the weekend for Paul Goldschmidt. Nolan Arenado the same.
Sounds like you want to hold him accountable right here.
I'm going to hold the righties have just not done it. I mean, Contreras, but then he got injured, and it's been a little 50-50 since then. Mason Wynn's doing the best he can, but he's not going to be your guy who's driving in a ton of runs and getting power. He's going to try to get you on base. And then, obviously, Goldie and Arenado have had their struggles. I mean, we've said it all year, but it's the truth. How much differently would this team look if Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado were even 80% of what their career numbers could be?
They will deal with back-to-back lefties with Manaea, and then Jeffrey Springs of the Rays will be in town tomorrow. So back-to-back lefties. Taj Bradley and Shane Baz round out with 2 righties for that series against the Rays and Dylan Carlson's return.
Yep.
Are you going down there going to do a standing ovation? Are you going to do a hat tip thing?
What do you think will be the case with Carlson? Do you think
standing ovation all day long? Are you interested? Can I parlay this with the 15,000 thing?
No,
because I might shut it down.
No. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I think, especially given the recency of it and that Dylan was well liked in St. Louis for the most part, even though he struggled on the field, I would bet pretty hearty standing
He's
O.
really well liked. He was just kind of a guy. A guy with a lot of expectations that didn't live up to him. I mean, what are we going to lie about that to people now? Is that what we're going to do here with this rights holder merit badge that you're trying to win?
There is a separate there's 2 different definitions of well liked. There's actually well liked.
Right, which is, of course, the definition.
But
now we're going to parse words to get our rights holder merit badge.
No, I'm going to do the opposite, in fact. There's a B-fib standing O well-liked meter.
Boy, if you're going to attack the best fans in baseball, you're going to have to come through me.
That's fine. I'm coming right for your chest, brother, because there is
You're going to have to lower your stance.
It's all right. Well, man wins. The B-fib standing O meter is essentially, did you play here for more than a week?
And were you a light-hitting middle infielder?
Yeah, and your scrappiness.
Right.
Like, I don't think Big Bear necessarily, Marcelo Zuna is in standing O territory, but like Jed Jerko is prime standing O territory. Jose Martinez would be like, oh my God, they might shut down Clark if Jose Martinez returned to St. Louis.
Dylan Carlson standing ovation. You agree with me?
100%.
Okay, but you don't agree with the 15,000 thing. We can't prove it anyway. For today's 4:15 start,
Yeah.
I've got the under.
Yeah.
As far as people in the ballpark, it'll be announced as 37,000. But
yeah,
all right.
Yeah. I maybe it won't eclipse. Maybe I'm just. I mean, the place holds 45, so 15. I mean, that's like nothing.
Well, yeah, but it's going to be a 100-degree heat index for a makeup game at 4:15 because the Mets are flying to Denver, and that's 8 hours away.
Yeah, I don't get the starting at 4:15.
This is straight theory.
Sure.
I believe since Mondays and Thursdays are kind of the designated off days, even though the Cardinals have an off day on Sunday this week.
That's so weird. That's so weird.
That it's a Players Association thing, part of the CBA. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
That you're not playing a night game and then flying out on a makeup game.
Right.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah, and they get an extra body today, right? They get a 27th man because of the makeup thing. Wonder who that'll be. I guess that'll be announced.
That'll be Darnell Coles.
Darnell Coles coming up.
What's our second question with Jackson's Little Piddles weekend wrap-up?
Ben Fred wrote an interesting column about Cardinal reunions over the weekend, basically saying that while we're at it, how about we get Sandy Alcantara back this offseason? Looking at the Cards rotation and the major question marks for next season, they'll need another arm most likely, and it's a dad's out-of-town sale going on in Miami right now with the Marlins. As Ben Fred points out, it'll be high trade ask, but Alcantara's coming off injury, and the Marlins aren't really looking to compete after popping their gills out of the water briefly last year in the playoffs. Do you like the sound of all of this? Could the Cardinals be opening the door for a multi-level bad trade if they trade him away for his good years and bring him back post-injury?
I love the idea. I enjoyed that column. Wasn't something that was on my mind, but I like the idea quite a bit. Think it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I liked the column, and I share the enthusiasm that Ben Frederickson shared for the idea.
Do you think that would be met with really high approval rating from fans, especially given the context that Alcantara went away for a Cy Young season?
Depends on who the Cardinals would have to pay to get him.
Right. I guess that's the key with anything in terms of these trades, but you'd have him under control for a little bit of time. He is coming off injury, so that's kind of what I was talking about, like with the multi-level bad trade. Like you trade him away when he's great and under contract control, and you bring him back when he's worth a lot of money and not as good.
Yeah, but I mean that's
the risk.
That doesn't bother me. I think if you can have that, you can kind of go, okay, we got the makings of something there. I mean, he's not super young anymore.
He's
even though
28.
We think of him as a young guy because
Yeah.
that's what we saw him as.
Yeah, he's 28, but you have him under control through 27, making decent money at that. He's going to make about the same money as Miles Michaelis would make. But if you could trade him away for a decent prospect haul, I would be in. I think they really need to address pitching in this major way this offseason, whether it's additions, developing young talent, acquiring more young talent. You got to get some young pitchers. I mean, we've talked about it. The last homegrown Cardinal starting pitcher. It's like Carlos Martinez. It's really that long. If someone can correct me and say someone else, but a consistent starter that you have year in and year out that is homegrown, I can't think of one in a long time, and that's a huge indictment on the franchise. I won't stand for it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're ready. It sounds like you're ready to fight.
Who's out there who's against this take?
Who wants to fight Jackson? 314-399-9646. And you can go in the YouTube chat and set that bout up. Well, I guess we'll do it at South Broadway Athletic Club.
Yeah, it's the standard.
That's where Jackson will be fighting whoever disagrees.
We're doing the
with him.
bleachers today. It'll be empty.
You're going to be out there Oh, you could just do it in the bleachers. I'd watch that. Two guys slap boxing in the bleachers at 120 degrees.
Yeah, Bally's could pan over.
Let's see what we got. 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line, and the YouTube chat. Bishan About Sports says parking should be free today. $1 beers till the 7th inning.
Yeah. They're like a minor league game. I do like going to minor league games when it's like the Thirsty Thursday thing. Hey, just real quick, Tim. And I don't know how much, if you watch the full game or just bits and pieces. Baseball on ESPN has certainly changed a lot over the last 15 years.
Where are you going with this? That's so initially innocuous, but I know there's something behind it.
Well, they just do no like promotion. Like you're on ESPN's socials. There's never anything about the games. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of hype built up around it. It's just kind of there because it's on their contracts. And then they do the in-game interviews. I like Tommy Pham on the in-game interview.
Yeah, that was good.
I enjoyed watching that, but then they'll sometimes do it with infielders.
Some fantasy football talk.
Yeah. When they said, what should the punishment be? And he gave, he's just like, they should have to pay a third. I was like, you should have to get slapped by Tommy Pham in the outfield.
That's what the answer they were hoping for.
Yeah, like I go up to you and slap you if you lose your fantasy baseball.
Settle down, Jackson. You might weigh 120 pounds soaking wet. That's from Jeff Bricker.
You want to bet on that, Jeff?
Jeff, it's up to you if you'd like to bet on that. We got a lot of bets going on.
I got 180 American pounds with your name written on it.
Wow.
Yeah, how do you like that, listeners?
And you were 210 pounds when you shared a bed with Lisa Ann in Jamaica, correct?
203. 203 was my heaviest, and then I got all the way down to 175. Now I float between 175 and 180, depending on the weekend.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it depends if there's a lot of treats.
Did you have a feast this weekend?
Did I have a feast? A little bit. A little
okay.
bit.
Where'd you go?
A little bit of tastings. Friday, I don't think I went anywhere special Friday, but Saturday, my favorite Mexican restaurant, Mi Ranchito, in near the Del Mar Loop. Delicious. And then my mom made lasagna last night for family dinner.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. It's garlic bread. Tasty.
There you go. So
Yeah.
that's
Al dente noodles, al dente as all get out.
Droid Effects wants a piece of you. Square up, Jackson.
It might surprise people to hear, I've never been in a physical altercation in my live-long life.
Jamie Rivers is going to text in.
That's fine. I always tell him, I walk in the back there and I say, all right, Jamie, it's time to move some furniture. And you won't do it. You won't scrap. I'm trying to break my seal with Jamie Rivers, former NHLer. That's who I want to fight first.
That's your first fight?
Yeah. It's like playing golf, and the first time you play golf is with like Arnold Palmer.
I like that idea. 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line, YouTube chat, the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update. That's driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals lose yesterday, final score of 6-2. They dropped 3 of 4 in the weekend series. On the north side of Chicago, makeup game today against the Mets. 4:15 is your first pitch here in St. Louis against the Mets. Andre Pallante will be taking the mound for the Cardinals. Sean Manaea will be taking the mound for the Mets. And Team USA men's basketball defeats Puerto Rico and moves on to the knockout stage starting tomorrow out there at the Olympics in Paris. That was their Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. It's 10:33 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. You can watch us on YouTube, and the cameras are brought to you by Air Alliance Team. Jackson Burkett is here with his Little Piddles weekend wrap-up. Here's some good news on the Cardinals. Do you know where I'm going with this, Jackson?
I do not. Not a lot. I mean, Siani is on the IL now. Not a lot.
Jordan Walker.
Ooh. What we got?
Jordan Walker in August, so it's 4 games, 7 for 18 with a home run and 12 total bases. So maybe.
That's encouraging.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's getting turned around.
That would be great. I mean, they expand the roster size a little bit in September. Maybe he's ready. Victor Scott, his last week in Memphis, was on a tear, and now he'll be up with the big league club. But that was kind of a question I had. There's not much on the bone
he had
there.
213 in the month of July, for the record.
Walker?
Yes.
Got it. My question kind of was, how do you think they'll platoon the outfield with Siani out? But it's probably going to be Victor Scott against lefties and then Newt against righties. If I had to guess.
I don't know. I don't know. Tommy Pham's going to be in there for certain against lefties.
Yeah, definitely.
But
He might
that's
be in
just
the
a matter
corner.
of maybe he'd be in a corner outfield spot.
Yeah. Another question I have here, Tim, is I'm curious where you're at here. Ozzie Guillen was beside himself following the White Sox 20th loss in a row.
Well, it's been a problem on the south side of Chicago.
20 losses in a row. They're 27 and 87.
I need my A's to take care of business. I'm getting close to that 50. I think I got 57.5 before the season,
Nice.
the over-under.
Yeah. I wonder what the White Sox total was. Probably in the 50s.
I would imagine it was higher than that.
Yeah. Probably in the low
This is
60s.
the A's. Let me check my bet on this thing. So I got 3 tonight for my A's that are closing in on my mark, but I don't count anything until I got it.
Yeah, it's a good play.
Let's see, 58.5.
That was the number you bet?
That's the number I bet on the A's win total. I got the over, and I got 3 against the Pale Hose tonight. Starting tonight.
2 of the 27 victories for the Pale Hose came at the hands of the St. Louis Baseball Cardinals.
That's right.
Anything can happen. But that was certainly a dark time. But
the A's, for the record, are sitting at 46 wins, which is 19 more than the White Sox, who have indeed lost 20 in a row. They were at one time 27 and 67. Now they're 27 and 67. Now they're 27 and 87.
Yeah.
Sweet mother of mercy.
Yeah. 60 games below. I mean, that's just unbelievable. But my question here is, how do you think having a nothing team like this with little hope on the horizon impacts young fans and their relationship with baseball? This goes for other sports as well. When you have a prolonged or even season-long periods of dreadfulness, how do you think that negatively impacts the future with younger fans? Can one magical run get everyone back on board?
Well, absolutely. On the last question, I don't know on the young fans thing. I'm thinking of the White Sox, and I just don't necessarily think of a lot of young White Sox fans.
I can tell you, for people my age with football, the St. Louis Rams being as bad as they were when 1998 born, so think mid-2000s to early 2010s, them being nothing was really, you would be shocked to see a kid in a St. Louis Rams t-shirt or jersey. I was part of the few and the proud when it came to that. So I can tell you that it had a big negative impact football-wise on St. Louis. I was curious, the Blues, being a kind of down team. Do you think 2019 completely changed and the course on that? And if you were a fan who had no interest in it before, you became a fan after.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be generations of St. Louis Blues fans because of what took place April through June of 2019.
Right.
It is a domino effect on the kids, who were, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old at that time. And then the impact, the same thing for those who were born in the 70s and 80s with those 1980s Cardinals teams.
Right. Like you, for example.
That's what I'm speaking to. And
right.
the Blues were also very good in 2016 when they went to the conference finals too.
Right.
So you had, and they were a great regular season team when COVID shut it down.
Yeah.
So along those lines, the White Sox are such an outlier. If it were an organization like the White Sox, if you were picking a team that you'd go outside of the A's, the next one to move, I would think the Chicago White Sox are live in that conversation.
Yeah.
The Rays are getting a new ballpark, so that used to be
ballpark at that.
That used to be the go-to. But other than that, I don't really know who would be live to move in Major League Baseball. The Chicago White Sox, I think at this point, would be the ones.
Yeah, and they're probably not expanding anytime soon, if I had to guess.
Baseball?
Yeah.
Oh, baseball is expanding.
It is?
Yeah.
They're gonna, so you think in like the next 15 years we'll have new franchises in Major League
I think
Baseball?
in the next 5 years we'll have new franchises.
Wow.
Yeah.
What cities do you think? Because Vegas is going to be occupied likely.
I think Nashville is about as 5-star of a lock as I can give you.
Would agree.
And I think Portland, Charlotte, Salt Lake, and Montreal are the others that would be mixed. But I will give you Nashville as my 5-star play.
People always say Austin, but I don't know on that. But Montreal, that'd be cool to get the Expos back.
Yeah.
Think they get the name back from the Nationals, or they do the Houston Oilers thing.
That would be the case. I would imagine that would be the case.
Like when the Titans wear the Houston Oilers uniforms in Houston.
That's right. Yeah, what an odd line they took there. So, the White Sox are 60 games below 500. They've won 10 games on the road. So if you're one of the Cardinal fans in attendance, you got to see 20% of the White Sox wins if you were at both those games on the road.
I was at the Friday game. It was a Sunday Gray Star, and they beat the White Sox. So I got to witness
the win,
the victory over the White Sox.
I mean, what an operation. And here's the other thing about these White Sox games. You don't usually get this in professional sports unless you're talking about the NFL. Because even in the NBA or NHL, the randos will, just by kind of the nature of the game, keep them close. Certainly bad NFL teams can get worked.
Yeah.
But in baseball, it just doesn't really happen this way.
Right.
13-7 yesterday. 6-2 the night before, 10-2 the night before, 10-3 the night before. I mean, these are take the other team and lay some runs situations here.
Oh my God.
So
double-digit runs in like every that is because we talked about this even the A's won a series against the Phillies. Like obviously the A's are not White Sox bad, but
the Phillies. Go after my A's.
I know. I don't want to. I don't want to come after the A's of 2024, but even to lose 20 straight baseball games is almost impressive.
That's the thing. But what I'm driving home here is this isn't like, this is some bad breaks. They're getting blown off the field.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you'll hear it'll, I don't know if we'll have a team going undefeated into November this year in college football, because I guess the team that most would say is probably the best team is Georgia. But their schedule's so brutal.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But the talking point usually is, could whatever awful NFL team beat Alabama, or beat Georgia.
Yeah.
This is a case where I think there are AAA teams that would take a series from the White Sox.
Legitimately.
Because the White Sox are a AAA-ish roster right now.
Yeah, right. At this post-trade deadline, they are absolutely AAA. Yeah, that, and I think AAA is obviously different than like a college football team playing an F. But you're absolutely right. Where if a series,
If you want to take the A's tonight, you can lay a run and a half, and you're getting plus 112. So bet $100, you win 112 if the A's win by 2 runs.
Here's how it's going to go. The first time I bet
Garrett Crochet throwing tonight for the White Sox. Could he end the skid? And the issue is they have to have people who can hit the ball.
They do not. The guys who they did have who could hit the ball have all been traded.
Yes.
And Garrett Crochet, who's a friend of the front office there in Chicago, they're big fans of him there.
Absolutely.
He won't be on the move this winter to anyone who will take him.
Unless he gets a contract extension. So,
man.
No.
Could you imagine playing for the White? I mean, I guess if you're playing on the White Sox right now, you are solely playing so that you can up your contract status for the next couple of years. Otherwise, I can't imagine that clubhouse has a lot of good tidings going on right now.
Tim Ledoux boy has Mizzou going undefeated. You have Mizzou going? That's from the Water Boy.
I don't remember saying that, but would it shocked. Let me say this. Let me say this.
Waterboy might have
I would be
some
more
meat on the burner.
I'd be more surprised if Missouri is 5-5 heading into the 10th game of the season than if they were undefeated. I think that is more likely.
Well, I mean, that's not really that.
Well, you would have to drop, but you'd have to drop one to like a team that you absolutely think Missouri's going to smoke, like a Boston College or a.
I'm not sure on the Boston College thing.
They're better than people give them credit for.
Jackson, you've been playing a lot of EA Sports college football, and you've been
telling you this Eagle Club, they got a lot cooking over there in Boston. But I can't say the same for like UMass or Buffalo.
They finish off the season against Mississippi State and Arkansas, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So that means.
Yeah. So that means So you'd lose obviously
South
Oklahoma.
Carolina, Oklahoma, Alabama, War Eagle, and A&M.
South Carolina is the one I have circled because we always say, Gabe always says, Mizzou always wins a game you don't think they're going to win, and they lose a game that you don't think they're going to lose. South Carolina is that game.
It didn't happen last year.
Yeah, to be fair, they did not drop a game. They came really close. They really tried. The Florida game I circle, and K-State obviously was probably the one you didn't think they were going to win.
The Middle Tennessee State one was the one that it's forgotten, obviously, in the annals of the 2023 season, but that was
this guy.
Dancing with the Devil. Tiny PP has released his Missouri prediction. He's got him at 10-2. The key is which two are the losses, because that would be, I think, what determines whether or not to get into the college football playoff.
If the loss is...
If you got Tuscaloosa and if you got College Station.
But you beat Oklahoma at home.
And you beat Auburn at home, and that means you've won in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yep. Yeah, I would think that they would have a good case.
And maybe Boston College winds up being decent this year.
Right, but what if you drop to Oklahoma and then South Carolina on the road, but you beat Alabama on the road and you beat A&M on the road? I guess it depends on what those teams do 100%. After that.
That's the reality.
Especially A&M, because that would be such an we've talked about this, but that's the table setter. Like that's going to set the tone. If you go out there and get smoked, then we might not be looking at a season of greatness. But if you go out there with a real good game and you end up winning at College Station, all bets are off, Tim. That's what I say.
ILL wins the Big Ten. I'll smack those pale cheeks. That's from the 314.
I will bet you any amount of money.
Oh, my gosh.
I will bet you any amount of money.
Are you giving odds? Just straight up.
We'll see what the person has to say. I have a feeling I know who sent that text in based on the epilogue at the end there.
The epilogue.
Prologue or epilogue? Epilogue would be at the end, right?
Tim, a 17-14 loss to Boston College is inevitable.
Oh, God. Well, they're 0-1 over the past couple of years against Boston College, so... But that was the Basilak years, and that was on the road. This will be in Columbia with Brady Cook.
Jackson's feeling good. Waterboy, I guess you were right about it. All right, 314-399-9646. That's how you can text into the program. And, of course, we have the YouTube chat as well. Deep Voice Dude says, Missouri isn't a big enough brand to get the benefit of the doubt. So even with 2 losses, I don't think they'd get in. That's from Deep Voice Dude.
But but they're like, we don't know what the rest of the landscape looks like. That's just like a blanket statement to crap on Mizzou. Like that's not like there's no substance there.
And now you're going after Deep Voice Dude.
We need some substance. We have no idea what the other teams are going to look like. How would you know if 2 losses will or will not? There's ways to bolster it by wins at Alabama and wins at A&M would be certainly ways where 2 losses would look a lot better. But it depends on the 2 losses. Depends what everyone else does.
It also, sometimes the manner with which you win, like the Tennessee game, style points matter. But I actually agree with the overall premise. What you notice toward the end of the college football season is analysts kind of lobbying for the blue bloods.
Yeah.
Well, this team doesn't pass the eye test. Why is that? Well, because they're Missouri, or because they're whatever team that hasn't necessarily been in the mix for the last few years.
But then you had the Florida State thing where, they're certainly in the blue blood category, and they were getting a lot of analysts, I shouldn't say every, but a lot of analysts were pointing out, like, they lost their quarterback.
I was in the minority on that one. Tigers are going undefeated. If you say otherwise, then you are not a real fan. That's from Daddy Be Cookin'. Jackson's a banny little rooster today. That's from MD 2020.
Some people are getting me bent out of shape. I'll just say that. And I don't like that on a Monday.
Kyle R. says Mizzou needs A&M to beat Notre Dame in week 1. I think that's a good take. That's a sneaky take, but I agree with the take.
I'm with
that take. So you will hang with Kyle R.
Kyle R., you're the man.
You want to fight Deep Voice Dude and Jamie Rivers.
Man, I don't even know what my strategy would be in a fight. I got these long arms, so I feel like reach would be my advantage, so stay back. But I don't know how to dodge. I've never taken a punch to the face. I can't imagine that feels very good.
You're going to find out when you go up against Deep Voice Dude, and then if you win that, you get Jamie Rivers. So there you go.
How much do I have to pay to not fight? Like, could I pay off the stormy combatant?
You don't have access to your trust fund for 4 more years, right?
I'm good for it.
Oh.
Just know I'm good for it.
All right, fair enough. There it is. Jackson's trust fund will take care of you. Got a break. It's Balloon Party, 101 ESPN. James Carlton, Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency, up to 379 five-star reviews now from people who have worked with him and posted their reviews on Google. He's my insurance agent, and I can rave about him all day long. I can tell you why. Number one, customer service, and under that umbrella of customer service is a staff that's always looking to save you money. In addition to that, anytime you need them, they are super responsive. And if you're reaching out to your insurance agent, that means something serious must have happened, because you're most likely only insuring something that is of great value to you. Well, you don't want to send an email and then not hear back for 4 days. You need a response immediately. You call 314-961-4800 right now. You're going to talk to somebody who works for James Carlton, and that means you're going to get a response right away, because you're going to talk to somebody live. It's James Carlton, 314-961-4800. Or go online at carltoninsurance.net. Welcome back. Balloon Party, 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. Jackson, what do you got? Let's make this count. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Fighting listeners in the YouTube chat and Jamie Rivers. Can't do that, man.
Well, can means won't. If the Cardinals have been defined by eras, you had the late 90s with the McGwire Home Run Fest, and the early 2000s ushered in new faces, including Albert Pujols, and created a modern golden era all the way through 2011. Then we had post-Albert, post-Tony world that resulted in good teams never reached the mountaintop. Then a dark 2016 through 18 that featured a lot of forgettable trades and acquisitions. 2019 is kind of an era on its own. Now we're in the 2020 to present era. How would you define it, and what do you think will ultimately be the legacy of this era of Cardinal baseball?
To date, I would consider it to be a disappointment, and I realize by definition they were in the playoffs in 2020. I don't really recognize 2020 in general. Even if they weren't in the playoffs, I wouldn't hold it against them. 2021, they were in a one-game playoff. That was baseball, though. That wasn't a one-game playoff because they were tied, because they went up against a team that had like 70 more regular season wins than them in the Dodgers. And then 2022, I thought was a really good team, but I think that one, whereas the Cardinals try to give themselves credit, I feel like, for 2020 and 2021, I feel like the team doesn't get enough credit for 2022 because of the fact that they lost in 2 games in the best of 3 series. 2023, disaster. So if 2024 winds up without even going into this wild card 6-team playoff field, I would think that this would be considered a really disappointing time.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for that would not necessarily be because people go, well, they went to the playoffs 3 of 5 years. But I think you look back on having 2 guys who are most likely going to be in Cooperstown and not really doing much with that or of anything.
And you got them for basically nothing.
That's a miss. That's a big miss. And I think that factors into it. You know, the 1970s of Cardinal baseball predates me. I still am aware that it was not a successful era. But you get Doug Vaughn of TMA going on the 1970s, and a number of you in the audience who can recall the 1970s of the Cardinals, what he thinks of the trades that really probably cost the Cardinals some National League East titles. For the most part, the 1970s was more about the National League West, because the Reds were in the National League West, as counterintuitive as that might be geographically.
The Big Red Machine.
Nicely done. Wow.
Only took me like 3 stabs at it to get that.
Nicely done. And by trading Steve Carlton and Jerry Royce, think about what that would have meant to a team that wasn't like terrible.
Sure.
They just weren't what we had in the 1980s or 1960s.
Yeah.
So I think that this would be characterized by great disappointment, because you had some really talented players at the corner spots in the infield, and you didn't really do much with them. That's what I would think.
To me...
But you get one run, and
it changes
the whole operation.
Totally,
as far as perspective goes.
Because if you would have asked after the 05 season what the 2000 to 05 era would be defined as, be like good teams that never reached the mountaintop. 06, actually.
Yeah, and I would have said great teams.
Yeah,
there hasn't been a team, I don't know, I think since 2013 that I would call a great team.
Yeah. Yep. And even then, like 2012 and 14 and 15. 15 won 100 games, so it's tough to deny that. But
I thought that was the most smoke and mirrors 100 games.
That's kind of what I'm saying. It was like good teams that didn't reach the mountaintop.
As weird as that sounds, to be a smoke and mirrors 100-win team.
Yeah.
But either way,
sure.
Take it for what it is. It felt like they were the beneficiaries when you look at that roster and the rotation.
Sure.
You know, it was Carlos Martinez and Jaime Garcia and John Lackey. You weren't, with an offense that wasn't exactly crushing it. What I'm saying is, if indeed this season does not end with, an NLCS, I would imagine most Cardinal fans would go 2020 through 2024. Significant disappointment.
Yeah, I would say it's a team, an era of identity crisis. You had the start of the 2020 and 2021. You're like, all right, maybe things. And then Mike Schilt gets fired. And then it's bringing back Albert. And then the team's good. And Goldie, MVP. And you're like, all right, we can lean on our corner infielders. And then they don't perform in 2023, leading to a worse season in the 21st century. And then you got this year's team, which is just, we don't really know what the team is. It was once the starting pitching was helping, and now the offense is bad. It's a team that doesn't have an identity. I feel like part of that is most of the 21st century has been anchored by Albert, Yadi, and Waino, and you don't have that. You don't have the clear leadership, the clear face of the franchise. To me, it's a team in an identity crisis, and the front office moves, I think, mirror that. I think it's a team that doesn't know where they want to go, or maybe they don't have the autonomy to go to those places given the money situation. I think it's a team stuck in neutral, and that's what I feel like fans will view it as, unless they can get hot and win this baby.
Look at that.
But I'm not ruling that out.
I know you're not, because you want a rights holder merit badge.
Listen, if you could get Goldie to be a little bit, just get a little bit of what we saw last week. If you get Arenado to be a lot more than what's been this year, maybe you'd have something. But this team will not be successful if those two are duds.
Tiny PP says 100 wins is 100 wins.
In a vacuum, yes, but
I've seen 4 100-win teams in my lifetime as a Cardinal fan, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Do you know the years? 85, 04, 05, 2015.
I would have got there.
Okay. Well, we have 2 minutes left, so I had to land the plane quickly. And the reason I give that context is I don't think there is a Cardinal fan alive, which would mean basically you have to be my age or older, so 47 or older, who would put the 2015 team in the same area code as 2004, 2005, or 1985. So that is what I would put forth to Don Pepe, and I kiss the ring.
I don't.
You do not kiss Don Pepe's ring?
No, I consider me a free agent when it comes to Don's.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Boy, this is a big heel turn for you.
That's right. Well, you know what? This is they call it Piddle's last stand.
This is it. This is the one.
This is where I plant my flag.
Fair enough. Jackson is turned on Don Pepe. Be careful starting the car today. That's all I'm telling you. Ladies and gentlemen, BK and Ferrari are up next. For Jackson Bennett Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN.